Fox News alert. Newly released transcripts now reveal former FBI lawyer Lisa Page told Congress that fired FBI agent Peter Strzok went into the special counsel's investigation thinking it could end with President Trump's impeachment, while potentially boosting his own career. Page also said the Department of Justice under President Obama pushed back against possible charges of gross negligence against Hillary Clinton in 2016, calling them constitutionally vague. President Trump is following all of this. He tweeted this morning, "The just revealed FBI agent Lisa Page transcripts make the Obama Justice Department look exactly like what it was, a broken and corrupt machine. Hopefully justice will finally be served. Much more to come." Joining me now, Republican Congressman Doug Collins of Georgia, ranking member on the House Judiciary Committee. Great to see you again today. I ran into you in the hallway at the Capitol yesterday.
It's amazing where you run into you. It's good to see you.
Does this mean, in some ways, is it possible that the president has been treated differently? What does this tell us?
I think he has been treated differently. This is not an up for debate argument. This is what we've been saying for over 2 years while we had Democrats making fun of us, Democrats thinking there was nothing going on. The transcript releases show an inherent two-tier system, one in which Hillary Clinton gets the treatment that she got, where there was actually at first concern that they were going to charge her, and then with Loretta Lynch in charge, before she recused herself, made it very clear that that was not going to happen. And then we see it transitioning right into with the same corrupt triumvirate of Page and McCabe and Strzok and others, who then go into the discussion on President Trump through the Russia investigation. That's what we see right now.
Not to make this salacious, just to spit the facts and not to lose sight of the fact of why we would believe something that Page would say about Strzok. They were lovers. They were close, and they were communicating on work devices. That's how we got to see their text messages. Why is it that we're now just seeing these transcripts? What's going on with the DOJ in terms of not releasing these things more contemporaneously?
Well, this is not up to the DOJ to release these. This is up to the folks in Congress. This is an investigation, if you remember, Harris, it was going on in the previous Congress with both the Judiciary Committee and the Oversight Committee as well. At the end of the Congress, it ran out, and with the Democrats taking over in the House, they've chose to let this lie. I've not chose to let it lie. I believe that accountability is needed here. I believe that what was happening was a result of an intentional effort by the DOJ to involve itself in a political process and not be the blind eye of justice that we see. That's why I'm releasing these. That's why I'll continue to release these. I would encourage people to follow us on Twitter or however and get ready, because more are coming.
And what is it that you hope to show in terms of where the conversation is now about that two-tier system that you're talking about, which really is political, and people would normally think that the FBI, the DOJ, there are no politics there?
Well, there shouldn't be politics there. No Democrat, Republican, or Independent should disagree with me on this point. DOJ and the FBI should be the blind eyes of justice, making sure that the laws are followed and the rule of law upheld. What I'm wanting to show here is what we have been saying for a long time that people wanted to ignore and people dismiss. That right now, frankly, Loretta Lynch has a lot of explaining to do. Why is she taking the law in itself and changing the standard to say, well, it really wasn't gross, maybe it was because of her relationship with Miss Clinton. Maybe it was later on when she actually got caught with a former president on the plane and then she had to recuse herself. It had started way before then, so we don't need to give her a pass because of that. This is why we're just trying to say that the same group, not the entire FBI, not the entire DOJ, but the same group you will find starting in 2016 going through the appointment of the Mueller investigation. It was the same corrupt bunch going to the same thing, and you have Mr. Strzok, who was thinking this was his ticket to maybe FBI director. I don't know what, but we see this as a problem.
So what does justice look like in all of this is my first question, and the second part of that would be, have most or all of the people that you know were involved in all of this potentially gone now, or does some of this still exist, do you think, at the FBI?
Most of these folks are gone. If we see in the three that I just mentioned, 2 were fired for cause and 1 left after being demoted. Bruce Orr is still employed by the department. What I've seen here, though, and I go back to Attorney General Bill Barr, who I have a lot of respect for, and who said in his hearings that he was willing to look into this when Senator Graham asked him, are you willing to look into this? Because what we find later on in July of 2016 that year was the opening of a FISA warrant on Carter Page. This is an interesting development because it was the same folks using dossier materials and others others. We have to assure that our investigative groups and our security and our intelligence communities are not being used in political partisan ways. This is why we got the FISA courts from the 70s and why they should be here today. This is an open and transparent process to say, Mr. Attorney General, we're giving you this information. Let's make sure this never happens again, and those that did should be held accountable.
All right. Representative Collins from the great state of Georgia, thank you very much. Democrat Congressman now Raj Krishnamurthy sits on the House Oversight, one of the committees conducting the Lynch interview. So now I have someone on the Oversight Committee. Look, I don't want you to drill down on your entire schedule, but how is it that we leave important stuff till the end of the year up against the spending bill? Are you guys not working enough legislative days a year to get your jobs done?
First of all, happy holidays, Merry Christmas to you and the
entire
audience.
Oh, now you make me look like the Grinch, but I have to ask that question because, you have all year.
Harris, good to be with you. I'm actually in the minority. I don't call the shots. I'm about as far from leading this whole schedule for our committee as possible.
But you will. Are you going to change it, or are you guys going to get more done during the year? Are you going to work more days?
I hope we can be more productive in the Oversight Committee in January, starting in January, than we are now, yes.
All right, we'll move on. So, I think you would have to believe in coincidences, is what Andy McCarthy was just saying. And if you just kind of wrap it up, if you believe that a former president and now former AG got on a plane together on a tarmac and had not guessed with all the staff around them that, his wife's under investigation, maybe you guys shouldn't do that surreptitiously on a plane. How do Democrats see it?
It doesn't look good. It's a bad decision to meet with him on that plane. I think that she said as much. I'd go back to the Inspector General report that investigated this exhaustively. The interesting thing that I found reading the report and hearing other witnesses is that there were multiple witnesses to what actually transpired during this conversation. Apparently, the Inspector General interviewed all of them, and he came to the conclusion there was no political bias.
He came to the conclusion after talking with the people who were on the plane?
Yes, including Loretta Lynch.
That there was no political bias where? Just on the plane?
In the handling of the Clinton investigation, and that this particular incident, this particular meeting on the plane, did not materially affect the investigation.
Interesting. What are we learning on the Hill right now from this hearing? And I know from Catherine Herridge that It looks like it's just wrapped up, so you probably have gotten some notes from your own staff.
Sure. Well, the one interesting thing, I can't get into the exact details of the questions and answers, but one thing that I think your viewers should know is that she answered all the questions. There weren't any attorneys interrupting and instructing her not to answer questions, so I think that's a good thing.
Why is that good?
Well, I think that there was a free exchange of questions and answers, both between her and Democrats and her and Republicans. And so I think that's always a good thing when, everyone can have their questions answered.
All right. It is kind of puzzling to me how you can talk to some people who might have been on the plane and then you come up with the idea that there's no bias. And I assume you're saying in the investigation, both DOJ and particularly the FBI. I don't know how only the people on the plane would know that when we know that there have been problems leading up to this with text messages shared at the FBI among two people and lovers. How many people on the plane would have been privy to that? I don't know.
Sure. So I've been a part of the vast majority of these interviews, 17, 18, I lost count. And what I can say is that I have not seen evidence that would, materially depart from Inspector General Horowitz's conclusion that the entire investigation was not politically motivated. One last thing, she did end up deferring to basically the FBI's conclusions with regard to the Hillary Clinton investigation, not only in July, but also in October when Jim Comey reopened the investigation. Yeah. She wasn't part of that decision-making. So, I mean, it's
well,
kind
that's
of
part
one
of the reason why
she stepped away.
She probably would have fired him the minute she got into office had she won. I mean, she wasn't happy in any instance. We started with Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays from you. Let's end it there. Congressman Krishnamurthy, thank you for joining me today. Appreciate your time.
Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
So remember when you were a kid and you got an ice cream cone and it dropped to the cement right as you licked it? That's how it must feel today to be a Democrat.
My God.
Here you think Mr. Comey was going to deliver Donald Trump on an edible platter, and instead you get Loretta Lynch. Comey told under oath that President Obama's Attorney General asked him to call the investigation into Hillary Clinton's email scandal a matter, not an investigation. Roll it, Francis.
The only other consideration that I guess I can talk about in an open setting is that at one point the Attorney General had directed me not to call it an investigation, but instead to call it a matter, which confused me and concerned me. But that was one of the bricks in the load that led me to conclude I have to step away from the department if we're to close this case credibly.
It confused me and it concerned me. I would file that under wow. And it raises more questions than my question-raising farm. First, when does the hearing on this revelation begin? Lynch gave campaign language to Comey to cover up an investigation to help Hillary's campaign. That's inappropriate. We're talking Al Franken in a mesh thong. Inappropriate.
But not illegal.
Pass. True. And how great is it? This is wonderful. How great is it that Hillary is still causing the Democrats fits? The Loretta Lynch thing is only an issue because she had to deal with the Hillary matter. Hillary really is the Democrats' unrelenting mother-in-law who comes to visit when they least want her. So in a hearing meant to hammer Trump, the previous crew gets nailed. It's like when a stink bomb goes off before you have time to throw it, you end up smelling bad the rest of the day, which is what happened to Lynch, Hillary, and yes, even Comey. His decision to obey undermines this persona of a folksy everyman just trying to do his job, when it seemed he'd do just about anything to keep his job, including look the other way.
So interesting. I know what he's
do you
talking
understand
about.
it? Do you want me to read it again? Let's do this thing again.
But what are you accusing him of?
What am I accusing it?
That he wanted to keep his job.
No, Loretta Lynch. I think that what she did is wrong.
He obeyed her instruction to call it a matter because he wanted to get his job.
According to the testimony, that's kind of what he implied. He didn't like it. It made him feel uncomfortable. Because everything makes him feel uncomfortable, Chris. Mean people make him feel uncomfortable.
No, I get it. But
should have a different
when
job.
he talked about Hillary Clinton, and he called it an investigation.
Yes, he did. He did. But he didn't he didn't question her. He didn't feel that was inappropriate. He didn't leak that. Right. Why didn't he leak that?
Did you miss the big press conference that he gave talking about Hillary Clinton's email?
Yes, I know.
Both of them?
But he didn't
Clearly,
leak this.
Well,
he
and if President Trump's conversations were so inappropriate, he didn't offer to resign like he did before
so this is not a big
Trump.
deal?
Greg,
all right.
James Comey unquestionably has a bad habit of placing himself in a position above everyone else. He did it in this case. He did it in the Hillary Clinton case. He said, I have deemed that no one here, he did it in 2004, no one here is decent enough, only I, James Comey, have the moral gravamen so that I can stand above all of this and make a judgment. Right. And when he does it, he gets himself in trouble. That having been said, he did it with Hillary Clinton and then he did it with Donald Trump. I had to go outside the lines because I was the last honest man. That has been a problem for him. But in this case, he roasted Hillary Clinton.
I know. I'm talking about this interesting thing that we just found out now. We just found out now, which is obviously has something to do with the tarmac as well.
But that was gross. What she did, what the Attorney General did was gross. But that's not on Comey.
No, well, kind of. No, it's on her. What did you miss the first part of the monologue?
But he
what are you snorting?
But he didn't obey.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, he kind of did.
Not
he
really.
did. Yes, he did. When he said go, yes.
Can I just say this?
Sure.
So today, this is an overall bad day for the Justice Department in the United States, whether it's the Jeff Sessions Justice Department or the Loretta Lynch Justice Department. The high road here is this. The Justice Department is supposed to be beyond reproach. Today we found out that both Jeff Sessions and Loretta Lynch are below reproach, period.
All right, what do you think, Kimberly?
I think it was, very bad day, I think, for Hillary Clinton. Bad day for Loretta Lynch. Bad day for Comey. Very bad day for Comey's, phone a friend.
Don't forget Jeff Sessions.
Phone a
bad
friend.
Day for Jeff Sessions.
The Columbia professor, that was not good for him. Jeff Sessions, probably not a great day for him either.
Bad day.
When you're handing out all these bad day cards,
Robert Rubenstein,
the president doesn't get a bad day card.
He absolutely gets a bad day card.
I don't think so.
At the top of Comey,
I don't think so. If Comey thought it was so bad, he should have got all the quees and then handed the resignation or typed one up and then hit save draft.
KG, I love you. I love you. I do. But with that being said, let's be real. The beginning of Comey's testimony starts with saying the president is a liar, right? Which we find out to be true because he told Lester Holt in the interview that I indeed fired Comey because of the Russian election, not because of this memo, not because of anything else. That means our president's a liar. That's a bad day for the president.
Wait, are you telling me there's somebody in the White House that has lied? This has got to be a first. We need that breaking news sound to come in now. That we actually have a president who doesn't tell the truth. You remember Bill Clinton?
Every other word.
All right.
Just believe me, every other word.
Yes.
We can't believe him.
We know who we elected. We know who we elected.
Don't believe him.
Well, we know who we elected. Thoughts, Dana?
Well, maybe one thing. So we mentioned 04, and in fact, I think it was Tom Cotton, the senator from Arkansas, Alabama? Arkansas. Thank you. Who asked James Comey to talk about in 2004, you went to the bedside of Ashcroft and all this stuff happened. But it sounds similar, right? But here's a big difference. George Bush didn't fire him because the aftermath of the consequences of firing him, I actually never asked him if he wanted to fire him. He probably did. But there would have been consequences for it. There are consequences for things that you do. The other thing is that...
But he thought that was so bad that he thought about resigning, and he didn't... Well, they said,
that's right, but here's what...
fire you, would you still be doing your job as FBI director, meaning you would never resign? No, I would still be doing it.
The big difference, too, was that actually it was about a program for intelligence. We're on a war footing, and we were able to work with Congress in order to get the policy worked out and put in legislation in a way that everybody could accept. That's one of the ways that you handle things in Washington. It's kind of old-fashioned. The other thing is that the tarmac meeting with Lynch and Clinton, I think there wasn't enough questioning about that in terms of how inappropriate did he think that was at the time. We all thought it was highly inappropriate.
So
then, how inappropriate might it then be? You could see why people would ask, why is it inappropriate for the president to ask everybody to leave and meet with the FBI director? There are parallels here, both sides having a problem.
All right.